She looked me in the eyes and said, "I would never lie to you." That same night, she was lying to me in the worst way possible. I want you to remember that line, because by the end of this story, you will understand exactly how deep a lie can go, and how far a broken heart can push a person to find the truth. My name doesn't matter. What matters is what happened to me over 8 months that changed the way I see love, trust, and loyalty forever. This is not a story about hate. This is a story about truth. And sometimes, truth is the sharpest weapon of all. If you have ever trusted someone completely, only to find out later that they were living a double life right in front of you, then you already know the kind of pain I am about to describe. Stay with me till the end, because the way this story unfolds, you will not see it coming. Let's go back to where it all began. Her name was Sarah. At least, that's what I'll call her here. We met almost 2 years ago, through a mutual friend at a small gathering. She was smart, funny, and had this way of making every conversation feel important. Within a few months, we were inseparable. I was not a perfect boyfriend, but I was honest. I showed up. I remembered the little things, her coffee order, her fear of heights, the songs she loved when she was sad. I believed that if you gave someone your full loyalty, they would give you the same in return. For the first year, everything felt right. We planned trips together. We talked about the future, where we would live, what kind of life we wanted to build. I introduced her to my family. She became close with my mother, who treated her like a daughter. Looking back now, I realize how much I ignored the small warning signs. The phone that was always turned face down. The work meetings that ran late into the night. The sudden mood swings whenever I asked simple questions. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself that trust means not asking too many questions. But deep inside, a small voice kept whispering that something wasn't right. I didn't know it yet, but that whisper was about to turn into a storm that would shake everything I believed about the person I loved. It started with small things. A change in her tone. A new perfume I didn't recognize. Plans that changed at the last minute without a clear reason. One evening, I called her during what she said was a team dinner. The background noise didn't sound like a restaurant. It sounded quiet, too quiet, almost private. When I asked her about it later, she brushed it off with a laugh and changed the subject. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. Because the alternative was something I wasn't ready to face. Weeks passed. The distance grew, even though we were still together every day. She would smile at me, hold my hand, say all the right things, but something behind her eyes had changed. It was like living with a stranger wearing a familiar face. Then came the night that changed everything. I had left my phone charger at her apartment, so I went back to grab it after we had already said goodnight. I used my spare key, expecting to walk in and surprise her. Instead, it was I who got the surprise. Her phone was lying on the kitchen counter, screen lit up with a message notification. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the name on the screen stopped me cold. It wasn't a coworker. It wasn't a friend. It was someone she had told me, months ago, she had completely cut off. My hands were shaking. My mind was racing. But I told myself, maybe there's an explanation. Maybe I'm wrong. I wanted so badly to be wrong. But something told me this was only the beginning of a much bigger truth I hadn't uncovered yet. I didn't confront her that night. I wanted proof, not assumptions. So I did something I never imagined I would do. I started paying attention. Quietly. Carefully. Over the next 2 weeks, the pieces came together on their own. Missed calls at odd hours. A hotel receipt she quickly hid in her bag. A conversation with a friend of hers who let something slip without realizing it. The truth was worse than I expected. She had been seeing someone else for almost 4 months. Someone from her past. The same person she swore was gone from her life forever. And it wasn't just a mistake or a moment of weakness. It was planned, repeated, deliberate. Every late meeting, every girls' night, every time she said, "I missed you today," while another man was on her mind. The woman who told me she'd never lie to me had been building an entire secret life behind my back. I remember sitting alone in my car outside her apartment, staring at nothing, feeling like the ground had opened up beneath me. It wasn't just anger. It was grief. Grieving the version of her I thought I knew, the relationship I thought was real. But here is the part that hurt the most. She wasn't just betraying me. She was using my trust, my love, and my family's kindness as a cover, a safety net to fall back into whenever her other relationship became complicated. I could have exploded right then. I could have confronted her in anger and let it turn into a shouting match that solved nothing. But I chose a different path. I decided that if she wanted to live a life built on lies, then the truth deserved to come out, completely and on my terms. Revenge wasn't my first thought. Justice was. I didn't want to destroy her out of spite. I wanted the truth to be known, to her family, to our mutual friends, to everyone who had been fooled the same way I had. Because here's the thing about people who live double lives. They count on everyone staying silent. They count on shame keeping the truth buried. I decided that silence was exactly what I would not give her. So I built my case, piece by piece, like assembling a puzzle no one else could see yet. I collected the evidence, messages, timelines, the receipt, dates that lined up perfectly with her lies. I spoke calmly to the friend who had accidentally revealed the truth, and slowly, more details came out. It turned out several people around her had noticed things too, but no one wanted to be the one to say it out loud. I also reached out, carefully, respectfully, to someone connected to the other person involved. What I learned confirmed everything. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a pattern she had repeated before, in a previous relationship, with someone else who had trusted her completely. I wasn't just a heartbroken boyfriend anymore. I was the person who happened to be the one who finally caught it. I remember one night, staring at everything I had gathered, feeling a strange mix of sadness and clarity. Sadness for the 2 years I had given to someone who wasn't who she pretended to be. Clarity, because for the first time in months, I finally understood. The plan wasn't about revenge for the sake of hurting her. It was about making sure the truth could no longer hide behind her charm and her lies. I asked her to meet me at the same cafe where we had our first date. I wanted the truth to come out somewhere that once meant something real, because after that night, that place would only remind her of what she lost. She arrived smiling, completely unaware of what was coming. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse her wildly. I simply placed my phone on the table, opened to the messages, the dates, the receipt, and the timeline that matched perfectly with every lie she had told me. Her smile disappeared in an instant. She tried to explain. Then she tried to blame me, saying I had been distant or too busy, as if that justified 4 months of secrecy. Then, finally, when the excuses ran out, she broke down and admitted everything. I felt something I didn't expect in that moment. Not satisfaction, not joy, but a strange, heavy relief. The relief of finally hearing the truth after months of confusion. But this wasn't the end of the story. Because private confrontations are easy to deny later. Private apologies are easy to forget. I had decided that the truth needed to be seen by everyone who had been affected by her lies, including her own family, who had no idea what she had been doing. She begged me not to tell anyone. She said it would ruin everything. I told her calmly, "You ruined it. I'm just making sure no one else gets fooled the way I did." I didn't post anything online. I didn't create drama for the sake of attention. Instead, I did something simpler and far more effective. I quietly shared the truth with the people who deserved to know. Her parents, who had treated me like family. Her close friends, who had unknowingly covered for her without realizing it. And the previous partner she had betrayed before me, who finally understood he wasn't alone in this experience. The reaction was immediate. Her family was shocked and deeply disappointed. Friends who once defended her began seeing the pattern clearly for the first time. The image she had built, sweet, loyal, trustworthy, collapsed the moment the full truth was laid out with real evidence, not accusations. She tried to control the narrative, calling people, trying to explain her side. But when the dates, messages, and receipts matched so precisely, there was no story she could spin that made her look innocent. Slowly, the people around her started distancing themselves, not because I asked them to, but because the truth spoke for itself. I remember one evening, my mother called me in tears, not out of anger toward me, but out of shock, realizing how much she had trusted someone who had been living a lie the entire time. For the first time since that night I found the message on her phone, I felt like I could breathe again. Not because I had won anything, but because the truth was finally out where it belonged, in the open, instead of buried under her lies. In the weeks that followed, I watched her world change completely. The other relationship she had been hiding fell apart too, once he learned the full truth about what she had done to both of us. Her friend's circle grew smaller. Her family relationship became strained, built now on disappointment instead of blind trust. I didn't feel joy watching this happen. I felt something quieter, a sense that balance had been restored, that the truth, once revealed, has a way of settling things on its own, without anyone needing to scream or seek cruelty. As for me, I took time to heal. I stopped checking her social media. I stopped wondering what if. I focused on rebuilding myself, spending time with real friends, reconnecting with hobbies I had abandoned, and slowly learning to trust again, but wiser this time. Months later, a mutual friend told me that Sarah had reached out, wanting to apologize properly. I didn't respond with anger. I simply said, I hope you learned from this. I already have, because that was the real ending I wanted. Not more conflict, not more explanation. Just closure. If there's one thing this experience taught me, it's this. Truth always finds its way to the surface, no matter how carefully someone tries to hide it. You cannot build a life on lies and expect it to stay standing forever. Eventually, the cracks show. Eventually, someone notices. And when they do, the fall is far harder than if the truth had been told from the beginning. If you are someone who has been betrayed the way I was, know this. Exposing the truth is not about revenge. It's about protecting your own peace, and sometimes, protecting others from falling into the same trap. And if you're someone who has ever thought about living a double life, hiding secrets from someone who trusts you completely, remember this story. Because the truth doesn't stay hidden forever. And when it comes out, it doesn't just affect one relationship. It affects everyone who ever believed in you. Trust is the easiest thing to break and the hardest thing to rebuild. If this story moved you, if it made you feel something, anger, sadness, relief, let me know in the comments. Have you ever discovered a truth that changed everything you believed about someone you loved? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. And remember, the truth may take time, but it always finds its way home.